It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater, and welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. We are rounding out the year. Can you believe it? It's coming to later in the year of 2025. We're starting to get ready here on Her Success Story for our nonprofit series that I'm always very, very excited to highlight nonprofits around the globe. And we just do that by asking our network for great people they know that we should know. And we meet the greatest people for all Her Success Story interviews by just truly talking about it and reaching out. So today I want to introduce you to an amazing dynamic woman, somebody I could kind of call a neighbor because I do not interview that many people from New York City. But Bianca D'Alessio is the CEO and founder of the Masters Division, where she manages over $10 billion in real estate portfolio and oversees 80 new construction projects across the city, Hamptons, Westchester, international markets to include Portugal and Italy and various places around the world. I can go on, but I always find it's more interesting to talk to our guests and actually talk to what I'll consider a neighbor, Bianca. Bianca, you really have been doing some wild things. You're one of the leads in selling the Hamptons that we could see on HBO. You have a new book out. You're a busy lady.
I am a busy lady. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Let's start at the beginning because I so want to go into, gee, you're a busy lady. How do you do this all? And we're going to get there. But let's go back a little bit. Real estate as a business, real estate construction and development is very much of a boys' club in New York City.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And coming from owning a printing business, in the industry for 20 years, it was a strong boys' club. So what drew you into that business? How'd you get into that? What got you involved?
Well, that's a great question from what I thought I was getting into when I started in real estate versus what actually ended up being.
Isn't that always fascinating?
Yeah, yes. So prior to my real estate career, I worked in the nonprofit space and I did leadership development with women on college campuses. So I got to travel full time in a 100% women industry and space. So making that transition was definitely a little bit of a shock, which I will jump into. But honestly, I started off, which I think a lot of leaders start off in I don't know where to start. And people were telling me, Bianca, you're really good with people, get into sales. And so honestly, I had a little bit of imposter syndrome of myself, a little bit of self-doubt, and I did not have the confidence I have today. And I didn't think I was smart enough to enter the corporate world. So I got my real estate license. I started with two incredible men who helped train and educate me in the space. But it took me a really long time to actually develop that confidence for how do I step into my own power and recognize my niche in the industry.
It's interesting because I have to jump in here for a second.
Please.
I have judged myself from my early years of not being smart enough.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes I was like, well, I had all these reasons, right? And so I'll go back and I was like, well, I had all these reasons, but do we have these reasons, or is it something in women leadership that this imposter syndrome has become so prevalent that we don't look at the mirror and say, wow, I can do this. I own this. I know it's possible. I know I'm smart enough. It doesn't matter what anybody else has.
I think it's the story that we get stuck telling ourselves that we're not good enough or we're not deserving enough or we can't have this amount of success or society tells you you can't have it all. So it's how do you prioritize and segment what you are deserving to have at a certain point in time, right? Are you prioritizing career? Are you prioritizing family? And I think because of that, it's this notion that we can't be everything to everyone. And it plays mind tricks with us. And I constantly find myself getting into that circle when I reach different thresholds in my business of, am I worthy of this? Do I deserve this? Can I keep going? Can I push the needle? And it's a lot of self-talk of I can, I will, it'll be hard, but how do I break through that barrier to recognize and increase that level of confidence of I can keep pushing forward at this level?
I'm going to ask because I know for me,
Hmm.
I've had the same thing. I remember being pregnant with my first child, my daughter, and people literally looked at me and said, "Well, you can't own a business and be a good parent, be a good mother. You can't do that. It's not
Hmm.
possible." And I was like, course you can. What's the big deal? And I'm thrilled that the careers I built, the businesses I built over like the last 30 plus years. What's interesting though here is I always attributed it to my own stubbornness.
Hmm.
What do you
Dive deeper into that. I want to know more about that.
so in all the work I've done in working with businesses on scaling and growing and succession planning, done an enormous amount of my own self work in this process. And I'm like, well, is it stubbornness or is it true determination? And why can't I own it? When you were faced with, can I do this? The imposter syndrome, what can how did you navigate and where did you build that forbearance internally to move forward?
So I think I made a very conscious reframing around the word failure. And to me, like I needed to start embracing failure and making mistakes and recognizing it as part of the process. And just because I would fail at something did not make me a failure, like I
No?
needed to change that as like, wow, these are actually moments of growth and moments of win. And early in my career, I had a lot of really difficult times. When I first started my business, my father was convicted of a financial fraud. And as I was just starting to grow my brand in a space, the same industry that he was in, I felt like I had a black cloud on me. Like, how could I step into my power and own my name when my name had just been dragged through the mud, through the press? And I felt like embarrassed and ashamed. Then I started with a bad partnership and I thought it was going to be great. And then I was bullied by men and I needed to walk away from a portfolio and I needed to start over. And you know what? Okay. But I did it anyway. I put my head down. I just kept going. And so I recognized those moments, they were actually gifts.
I happen to agree with you. I think the moments that we consider failures, that we
Hmm.
consider mistakes, that are the obstacles, that are the challenges, that are the bumps in the road, I don't care what you call these
Yep.
things.
Hmm.
You know, those are our growth
Yes.
moments. They're the moments that we can grow and accomplish and achieve more than we ever realized within ourselves.
100%. And I think as soon as you like recognize, like, okay, I'm in it. I'm going through a really bad time right now. But just think of how this is framing me to become a stronger woman, a better person, a more compassionate sister, a better daughter, a stronger leader. Like, how is this shaping me? I don't know right now. Like, and I would tell myself, like, I don't know right now, but gosh, this is going to teach me something. And so I think when I changed my mindset around that, I started recognizing that what it is it boils down to having a winner's mindset. It doesn't matter how many times you fail or you're going through it. At the end of the day, I know I will always win. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but I'm going to come out a winner because I'm going to come out stronger every single time. And I
Okay,
think,
so hold on.
yeah,
Let's talk about this for a
yeah.
second. So when you reference a winner's mindset,
Hmm.
okay, I'm a strong, strong, strong believer in mindset and setting intentions and seeing visually what is possible for myself, for my family, for my clients. I literally, literally create internal visions, whether other people think that's normal or not, that's up to them. I
Yes.
think um,
But we live by it, right?
right.
It
So
works.
when you talk about mindset, how do you practice? I know what I do, but I'm always curious and just listeners, so this is like me and Bianca just sitting here in a coffee shop talking here. How do you bring mindset forth? Because I think it becomes sometimes, oh yes, it's one of those principles of success and it gets on a shelf, but on
Mhm.
a daily basis.
Yeah.
What is
On a
what's
very daily basis, what I do, and it won't work for everyone, but what I do, I talk to myself every single morning because I know no one is a bigger cheerleader for Bianca than Bianca. So I am my own hype woman, and I hype myself up in the morning, and I have my morning routine. I know a lot of people talk about their morning routines. It's not about waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym. For me, like the most important part of my morning routine is talking to myself and listening to music, because talking to myself hypes myself up. Music puts me in a great mood. Like I listen to my power song and I sing and I dance audibly and visually on the streets of New York City. Call me crazy, I don't care. Like my 10-minute walk to work is my happy place. Like, and I love that. And that's what gets me right. And that's for me. Everyone needs to find what gets their mind right in the morning to just like, okay, I'm at peace, I'm comfortable. And it doesn't matter how bad the day is, because like I will wake up and it's a bad day. And I have struggled, growing up with mental health issues through my adolescent years, and like going back to talking to myself like used to be very important then, but and I do it much different now, where it's like, okay, you've got this, it's going to be an awesome day. And it's just like setting the intention of like, we're going to enter with force, because what that does, the biggest thing with mindset and longevity is showing up every day. Like the best leaders are have the shortest rebound rates for like something bad happens, they come back. And so that is what that is coached and ingrained in me.
I agree with you, and I think it's true. I think every day is a new day, every moment is a new day.
Yeah, for sure.
But bottom line, every moment is a new day. I could start fresh. I can do, I can accomplish.
Mhm.
I know for me, I do some quiet writing first thing in the morning, and I write a bunch of intentions, I am statements, what I
Yep.
see visually coming to be. And you live long enough, we all
Mhm.
have some obstacles.
Yeah, of
Some are
course.
big, some are small, some are really big boulders, some are
Mm.
but a series of pebbles that you keep tripping over.
Yes.
We've all been
Your
down
life.
the road. But in truly seeing long-term success, I know when I do get tripped up,
Mhm.
I get up and I move.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest things is, and I say this all the time to clients and when I speak, is when you're faced with something that you're against, you're hitting the wall, things aren't going right, get up and move. Go outside and take a walk. Go into a different office if you're in offices. Go refresh, talk to different people. Go do an
Change your
exercise
scenery.
class,
Mhm.
right? Right.
Yes.
Listen to your music and dance around. Whatever it is, get up and move. Change the energy, change and the physical energy of what's going on.
Yes, for sure. Energy is so important. That's one of my buzzwords, energy, with the way that you start your day, you become a force, the way you surround people and enter a room, like that's such an understated power that you can have. And it's a practice principle, and one that you could build and grow and refine over time.
A little bit about how you have built so much, right?
Mhm.
So $10 billion is a big number,
Yes, it is.
right? 80 construction projects is a lot of hustle.
Yes, yes, it is.
And I said earlier, I want to go into how do you manage? I want to ask two things. One, how you've scaled this, and then
Mhm.
how do you manage your day and your time? So let's start with the scaling piece.
Yes.
You got into this business, there was a big boys club, a lot of you can't, you can't, you can't. There was the other stuff going on with your dad going through
Mhm.
a very difficult time. So there was a lot of family stuff and a lot of personal stuff going on. How did you scale this, Bianca?
So first, I want to say that there is no roadmap, and I did not have one, and I made a lot of bad decisions, and I learned from them.
Join the Bad
Truthfully,
Decision Club.
yeah, yes.
It's a it's,
Um,
it's a very popular club.
yeah, like, and the reality is what I've learned, and I did not know this my first 2 years of starting my business, is that actually no one knows what they're doing. Just people are making the best decision with the information they have in front of them at that point in time. And once I learned that, it gave me so much comfort to start trusting my gut in the process. So where I started, when I started this, that first year, I had told you I'd come out of a failed partnership and I had started over, and I had put my head down because I did not give myself an option to fail at that point in time. Truthfully, having something to prove probably drove me much, much further than I thought it did at that point in time when I look back on it. the determination and the hustle was real. And I started with what I thought was surrounding myself with the right people who could help service the business. And my industry was a little bit different. Every industry is very different. But I started with my salespeople first, right? The core business function was sales. How do I make sure we maintain sales? And it took me some time to refine and realize that what I needed to focus on was the highest impact revenue generator for the business. And so, where I had always been, truthfully, and I still am, the best salesperson I've ever met, that was not the highest and best use. My highest and best use to everyone else who works for me and with me is to bring in more properties, is to work with clients. And that mindset shift was much different. Like, right, I needed to stop thinking like an operator and start thinking like a CEO. And it took me a while for my brain and my body to catch up with my title, where like I kept getting back into this cycle of like, okay, but like I need to work on this paperwork and I need to do this. No, like you need to
Wow.
trust the people that you're with to execute on those things. And so that's where the scaling started, was the salespeople. Then a few years in, I started to realize like, okay, if I really want to take it to the next level, I need to have a strong leadership team. And what does that look like? Who is the first big hire I'm going to make? You know, after it was like having the killer assistant who just made like the operations incredible. Now, how do I think about business beyond just Bianca, but for the 30 people that I needed a COO, and that became the next really big move. And then I needed a director of new development who helped with business operations and managing the portfolio. And now we've scaled to about 8 different people on the leadership team, but very strategically, because it's easy once you start to get in that cycle of like, I'll just bring this person and this person. Well, you have to make sure the business function and
Yeah.
the money supports all of those salaries. And so that becomes a balancing act all in itself.
It is a balancing act. And when I work with clients for myself, like I look at the balancing act between your financial plan, your marketing plan, your sales plan, and your
Yes.
people plan.
Yep.
And that's where it all comes together. And I love pushing yourself out of that comfort zone.
Yeah. And I think another thing that I realized during that growth for when I was bringing people in is I brought some people in that weren't for the right position. They were incredible hires, but not for the job descriptor that I had designated to them. And that was okay in that startup phase. Much different for bigger businesses who like need to fill a
Yeah.
function. But for me, it was just like, okay, let's change their role. Like they're still very valuable. How do I put them and empower them in that position, because they're great assets and they have incredible work and contribution to the team? We're going to need to fill what they're missing, but like how do we then focus on that vertical to have them grow something that I didn't even know? One example is I brought someone on to help me with my social media. She ended up, now she runs my marketing department. Like she is so talented at
She's so
graphics and
talented.
she's so talented, but that wasn't the right job for her. And creating that growth plan for people is super important.
And, I think there's a big piece here about leaders,
Hmm.
about raising your awareness and seeing people's strengths
Yes.
and being open. Don't just put them in the role in the box,
Hmm. Yep.
but dig
Absolutely.
deeper. Dig deeper. And that's what I love. I love that you did that. Now, my question that I said I was going to ask from the beginning is like, okay, okay, lady, okay, friend, okay, fellow neighbor, is your days like 6 a.m. to midnight? Like, how have you functioned and created your time as the leader as well as scaled? How do you manage that balance?
So we all know life is a series of trade-offs. So there's been different seasons in my business where I have prioritized different things that have come with their own different trade-offs. Well, how we've gotten here is I just finished writing a book. And writing a
Woo!
book for me was, it's something I've wanted to do since I'm super well, since I was a young girl. I just didn't know what it would look like. And it was during that, like, I knew if I was going to write a book, that was a passion project for me. It could not come at the main business operation or expense of my team. So, like, during that season of life, I woke up every day at 3 o'clock. I was writing by 3:30. I wrote till 8:30, and then I started the job. But I knew that was for a finite period of time. Now, book's done. I don't have to do that anymore. So right now, life looks a little bit different. I prioritize myself in being in the office because I am a firm believer for young professionals. And for business owners and leaders who are trying to cultivate and build strong culture within their organization, being present is everything. You cannot build strong culture if you're remote somewhere, and you cannot recognize people's growth and potential and opportunity and the things that you would miss if you were virtual, if you were not with them. And so I'm in the office 7 days a week for varying time periods. But now I've shifted my function to making sure, like in the morning, I set my team up for the day. And listen, I still have more efficiencies to implement. So this is this
Well,
we
I
all
think we
do.
all, you know what, Bianca, I think we all do. I think one
Yeah.
of the things that great leaders do is you put processes in place, but you don't put them in place and walk away from them. You
Yes.
put them in place and you pay attention to what is working, what shifts in your business structure in the marketplace that could adjust, or in your clientele, etc., in your growth and expansion, that we might want to adjust processes,
For
or as
sure.
we refer to SOPs.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any process you put in place and then just walk away, it's only a matter of time before it deteriorates. So it's important to keep
You say that so
cultivating.
nicely. I usually say it blows up.
Yeah. I love that too.
Yeah, you can't walk away from that. It's going to blow up on you.
Yes, exactly. Um, so now I'm really shifting to focusing on, again, recalibrating my mind. What are the most important things that I need to be doing as a leader? It's one, it's making sure my people know that I'm present and I'm here to support them. And it's making sure my clients know that I'm here. The rest of the things we could put operations and systems in place and manage them, but, and create more efficiencies. But it's really the human to human component that I spend the majority of my time with these days.
So tell me a little bit about the book.
Oh, yes. So, Mastering Intentions, 10 Practices to Amplify Your Power and Lead with Lasting Impact. What started as I was
Where did so
yeah.
okay, so you
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
write as a child. The
So
one thing
I
I didn't
wanted
want to do, I did 3 books. It's less I still like the cringe to think of writing another book.
so as a child, I wasn't able to vocalize my feelings and my emotions. So I found writing as an escape, as a way to process. That stuck with me my whole life. Like as I was traveling, I created a travel blog as a way to like process experiences. And so after the TV show came out, I was like, now is my opportunity to, share something. So it started as a real estate sales book. It is not at all a real estate sales book because as I was writing, I was like, this isn't about sales. I don't want to help salespeople become better salespeople. I want to help humans become better humans by
Humans.
embracing their story and finding connectivity through vulnerability and authenticity so they can live their fullest and most impactful lives. And so that is what the book is. It's written, each chapter is a different practice and a principle, from recognizing the power of gratitude to cultivating that winner's mindset to the power of manifestation and different manifestation practices, how you put that into the world, how you craft and tell your own story, because we all have our own story that makes us so incredibly and special and unique. And there's power in that. Like it gets me so sad when people are like, oh, I have nothing to share, or my story's not important, or gosh, my hardship isn't as bad as your hardship. No, that's
There is no
so not,
competition there.
there's
It,
no competition. Your story is
this
so powerfully yours.
right. Every person's journey is
Yeah.
so important, and we all have so many lessons that we've learned. And I have to tell you, I am so excited to dive deeper into your book because I agree with everything. From the first time we met, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, Ivy, we have to stay focused. Oh, this is supposed to be business, right? But there's so much more. I think it's so wonderful to have a resource out there
Mhm. Thank
that
you.
talks about our development and growth,
Mhm.
and then the leaders we become because we focused on our development and growth.
Yeah, totally. I write this in the book and I say this all the time, and people don't get it, but people love to talk about work life balance. And I'm like, no, there's no such thing. It's
Nope.
life. Like it is life. So, how are you showing up every single day in every arena of your life to make
Right.
it the most fulfilling for you? And that's the goal. When you think about checking in and clocking out, like Gosh, like the stress and the resentment and the frustration of leaving something behind or having to be somewhere you don't want to, that's where that starts. But when you just start looking at it as this fluid journey of all of the things that you get to do and the people you get to surround yourself with, like that's where the beauty comes out. And so that's hopefully the shift I want to help empower people to make in their lives.
I absolutely love it. Listeners, I have to say, we could keep going and going and going because the conversation is just so interesting. Bianca, I can't thank you enough. I know how busy you are to join me here on Her Success Story. How can our listeners learn more, learn about the book? Of course,
Yes.
everything Bianca's about to say is going to be in the show notes, so do not panic if you cannot catch this fast enough.
So you could find the book on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, anywhere books are bought and sold. You can learn more about how to stay in touch with me on biancadalessio.com. And then you could stay very, very active with me on all of my social media, most notably Instagram and LinkedIn.
Awesome. Listeners, I say the same thing at this point of the show. So I hope you're not bored with it, but it's really important. That's why I say it. Take a deep breath in. Bianca and I's conversation, you shared so many insights, so many ahas, so many things I was jotting down. Listeners, pick one takeaway for yourselves. Jot it down somewhere. I don't care if you write it or if you put it in your phone or your computer, it doesn't matter. But then when we're done, make a decision of what you're going to do with that takeaway and take that action. You come in every week to Her Success Story and you take a consistent action from the amazing people we speak to. You will be on a path forward, and know that we're all here for you as resources to your success. Bianca, your leadership and success and your journey and everything you have shared with us and have taught so many. I will see you next week on Her Success Story. Thanks for joining us.